Did you know that the country we call France today was once known as Gaul, and that its history is a roller coaster ride of empires, kings, revolutions, and brilliant minds that shaped not just a nation, but the entire world? Stick around as we journey through the epic history of France. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story of France, a country that has left an indelible mark on global politics, culture, science, and art. From ancient Celtic tribes to its modern-day status as a global powerhouse, France's history is anything but boring. So, grab your beret and let's get started. Our story begins in ancient times, before the Eiffel Tower, before croissants, and even before the French language existed as we know it. This land was called Gaul. It was a vast region inhabited by various Celtic tribes, often depicted as fierce warriors. They had their own unique cultures, languages, and social structures. Life was a mix of agriculture, craftsmanship, and tribal warfare. But everything changed when a new, formidable power set its sights on Gaul, Rome. In the 1st century BC, the legendary Roman general Julius Caesar led his legions into Gaul. The Gallic Wars, which he famously chronicled, were a series of brutal and hard-fought campaigns. Despite brave resistance from Gallic chieftains like Vercingetorix, the might of the Roman military machine was unstoppable. By 51 BC, Gaul was fully conquered and incorporated into the Roman Empire. This Roman conquest was a pivotal moment. For over 400 years, Gaul underwent a process of Romanization. The Romans built cities, aqueducts, amphitheaters, and roads, many of which can still be seen today. Latin became the dominant language, which would eventually evolve into modern French. A new Gallo-Roman culture emerged, blending Celtic traditions with Roman administration and lifestyle. This period brought a relative sense of peace and prosperity, known as the Pax Romana, to the region. But empires, no matter how powerful, don't last forever. By the 5th century AD, the Western Roman Empire was crumbling under internal pressures and constant invasions from various Germanic tribes. As Roman authority faded, a power vacuum emerged in Gaul. Into this vacuum stepped a group of Germanic people who would give the country its name, the Franks. This ushers us into the Middle Ages, a long and complex period often called the Age of Faith. The Franks, under ambitious leaders like Clovis I, began to consolidate their power. Clovis was a brilliant and ruthless ruler. His conversion to Christianity around 496 AD was a masterstroke. It not only unified his Frankish subjects, but also secured a powerful alliance with the influential Catholic Church. This alliance between the French monarchy and the Church would define the nation for centuries to come. The Frankish kingdom grew into the powerful Carolingian Empire under its most famous ruler, Charlemagne, or Charles the Great. Crowned emperor by the Pope in the year 800, Charlemagne's empire stretched across much of Western Europe. He was a great patron of learning and culture, sparking a mini-renaissance. However, after his death, his vast empire was divided among his grandsons, and the western part, West Francia, would form the core of the future Kingdom of France. The medieval period in France was characterized by the feudal system. Society was a strict pyramid. At the top was the king, who theoretically owned all the land. Below him were powerful nobles, dukes and counts, who controlled vast territories and commanded their own armies of knights. At the bottom were the peasants, or serfs, who worked the land in exchange for protection. Life for the common person was hard, marked by labor, faith, and the constant threat of famine, disease, and war. This era was also defined by epic conflicts like the 100 Years' War against England, a series of battles for control of the French throne that lasted from 1337 to 1453. This long and bloody war, which saw the rise of iconic figures like Joan of Arc, ultimately forged a stronger sense of French national identity. As we move past the Middle Ages, France entered the Renaissance and the age of absolutism. The power of the king grew stronger and more centralized. This reached its peak under Louis XIV, the Sun King. His reign, from 1643 to 1715, is legendary. He famously declared, "L'État c'est moi, I am the state." He built the magnificent Palace of Versailles, a dazzling symbol of royal power and a playground for the French aristocracy. While the court lived in unimaginable luxury, the vast majority of the French population was struggling. And this brings us to one of the most pivotal events in world history, the French Revolution. By the late 18th century, France was in crisis. The country was bankrupt from expensive wars. The tax system was deeply unfair, and years of bad harvests led to widespread hunger. The people, inspired by the Enlightenment ideas of liberty, equality, and reason, were fed up with the absolute monarchy and the privileges of the nobility and clergy. In 1789, the pot boiled over. On July 14th, revolutionaries stormed the Bastille, a medieval fortress and prison in Paris, symbolizing the king's oppressive rule. This event ignited the revolution. The revolutionaries issued the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, a groundbreaking document asserting that all men are born free and equal in rights. The revolution's famous slogan, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, or Liberty, Equality, Fraternity, became a rallying cry for freedom fighters around the world. The revolution was a chaotic and violent period. It led to the execution of King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, the rise and fall of radical factions, and the infamous Reign of Terror, where thousands were guillotined. Yet through this turmoil, the old feudal order was shattered, and the foundations of a modern republic were laid. Out of the chaos of the revolution, a singular figure rose to dominate not just France, but all of Europe, Napoleon Bonaparte. A brilliant military genius from Corsica, Napoleon seized power in a coup in 1799 and eventually crowned himself Emperor of the French. He was a whirlwind of energy and ambition. He reformed the French legal system with the Napoleonic Code, a set of laws that influenced legal systems worldwide. He reorganized the administration and education systems, creating institutions that still exist today. At the same time, Napoleon was a relentless warmonger. The Napoleonic Wars engulfed Europe for over a decade as he sought to expand his empire. He achieved stunning victories at battles like Austerlitz, but his ambition ultimately led to his downfall. A disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812 crippled his Grand Army. A coalition of European powers finally defeated him at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, ending his dramatic rule and exiling him to the remote island of St. Helena. After Napoleon, France went through another century of instability, swinging between monarchy, republic, and empire. The 19th century was also a time of industrial revolution, colonial expansion, and incredible artistic and scientific achievement. Paris, rebuilt under Napoleon III, became the glamorous capital of the world, a center for art, fashion, and ideas. This was the era of Victor Hugo, Claude Monet, and Louis Pasteur. The 20th century brought new and terrible challenges. France was a central battleground in both World War I and World War II. The country suffered immense losses and devastation. World War I's trench warfare left a deep scar on the national psyche. In World War II, France was occupied by Nazi Germany, a dark period that saw the rise of the French resistance. a brave movement of citizens who fought against the occupation. After the liberation in 1944, France had to rebuild once again. Under the leadership of Charles de Gaulle, the country established its current government, the Fifth Republic. In the post-war era, France played a crucial role in the formation of what would become the European Union, seeking to ensure peace and prosperity on the continent through cooperation. And that brings us to the France we know today. France is a modern democratic republic and a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It's a world leader in fields like aerospace, luxury goods, and of course, tourism. Its capital, Paris, remains one of the most visited and beloved cities on the planet. A beacon of culture, romance, and gastronomy. From the ancient Gauls to the digital age, the history of France is a rich and complex tapestry of conflict, creativity, and change. It's a story of how a nation fought for its identity, overthrew a monarchy to embrace the ideals of liberty and equality, and consistently influenced the course of human history. The struggles and triumphs of France have left a legacy that continues to resonate around the globe. So the next time you see the French flag or hear the French language, remember the incredible journey behind it. It's a history filled with lessons, inspiration, and a powerful reminder of the enduring human quest for freedom and progress. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical tour of France. What part of French history do you find most fascinating? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Thanks for watching and see you next time.